Well, hello there. Thanks for joining us on News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Here are our top headlines today. A northeast Nebraska home damaged after an early morning fire. It happened in the 300 block of South 12th Street, just south of downtown. Norfolk fire officials say the fire was found in a breaker panel on the house. Crews found the flames in the basement. The residents were able to get out. While a pet perished, no other injuries were reported. The exact cause of the fire is still being investigated. Federal prosecutors released the names of 19 people arrested and charged in an alleged drug trafficking ring. Of those, 17 are from Nebraska, primarily the western part of the state. Acting U.S. Attorney Susan Lair said 9 indictments were unsealed this week. The suspects accused of collectively trafficking over 500 grams of methamphetamine over a 2-year span. Authorities say those suspected come from as far east as Lincoln to as far west as towns like Brule and Ogallala. Each of the defendants faces anywhere from 10 years to life in prison. All but 20 of Nebraska's 93 counties are in a dense fog advisory. The National Weather Service issuing the weather alert for the overnight hours all the way until roughly lunchtime Wednesday morning. Visibility expected to be less than a quarter mile. That moisture also freezing and creating some slick driving conditions and perhaps causing you to fall and injure yourself. All but the far edge of the Nebraska Panhandle and the northeastern edge of the state are under the advisory. Gets even better for those in southeast Nebraska. They were under a winter weather advisory with freezing rain complicating driving conditions into Wednesday morning. Anyone who needs to travel anywhere on Wednesday should do so slowly and safely. Nebraska ice has created new hazards for drivers and pedestrians. For more, we go to Ryan Pattee.
Well, it shouldn't come as a surprise to many Nebraskans in the area that today is pretty icy. As you can tell right here, I'm kind of sliding around a little bit, walking just on this sidewalk outside of the studio. Because of warmer temperatures that we saw earlier this week, a lot of snow has melted on the ground, and that's led to icy roads and sidewalks earlier this morning. State Patrol advises that anyone out and about drive a little bit slower today. They're also advising that some areas are experiencing a heavy amount of fog as well as some freezing rain. So if you are out and about later today, be careful and also try not to slip on some ice.
Thank you, Ryan. That morning fog, meanwhile, being blamed for a crash in southeast Nebraska. Emergency crews were called to the accident before the start of school in Nebraska City on Wednesday. Police say a teen driving an SUV left the road, crossed over a steep snowbank, and struck an oak tree at Steinhardt Park. The driver was hospitalized. There's been no update to their condition. Most of southeast Nebraska was under a winter weather advisory Wednesday morning with a potential hazard of freezing drizzle. The temperature's been hovering around 32 degrees over the past 12 hours, and motorists were experiencing slick spots on the streets. Meanwhile, in the Panhandle, no troubles. The western half of the state hasn't seen as much snow as the eastern third, but the melt is in full effect. Temperatures eclipsed 50 in parts of the Panhandle on Tuesday, with highs expected to remain in the upper 40s throughout the rest of the week. The 50s will again be a possibility for the Panhandle next week, as it will for other parts of the state. There are minimal flood risks in the western half of the state because of the lighter snowfall totals. Well, Governor Jim Pillen back on the road Tuesday, this time in northeast Nebraska, for a State of the State town hall meeting. Luke Stara has more with the governor and his views on some new bills being introduced in the legislature.
Governor Jim Pillen's State of the State town hall meeting in Norfolk was similar to many of his previous stops. Property taxes, agricultural values, and spending were all things Northeast Nebraskans questioned and talked to Jim Pillen about. But a new bill entered the legislature that was of interest of Pillen, as it would change the tenure system for colleges across Nebraska. With the introduction of LB 1064 by Senator Lauren Lippincott, colleges would be forced to eliminate their current tenure systems.
Higher education has to be responsive to workforce and the people, and we have to be able to have a common sense approach.
Pillen says the original idea behind tenure is one he agrees with.
Faculty members that are doing research would have the freedom to research and study some crazy ideas without retribution. I'm 100% supporter of that.
Lippincott's bill was co-signed by 10 other senators and was introduced in North Dakota, Iowa, Florida, and Texas last year, none of which were passed by the state's legislatures. In a letter sent to News Channel Nebraska, Lippincott says the concept of teacher tenure has outlived its usefulness and says public higher education lacks a serious degree of accountability. He also says there is a woke ideology being pushed on campuses and does not want students to be indoctrinated with leftist ideology. Pillen, a former Nebraska Board of Regents, says the way tenure has changed has him wanting to rework the system.
And then all of a sudden it evolved to where faculty can be tenured even if they don't have a student. And that makes no sense. I'm a supporter of tenure, just not lifetime tenure.
Pillen says despite critics saying the bill would not help with recruitment of professors, he believes educators want an environment that is best for the students.
I think that there's a whole lot of extraordinary people that have committed their life to educating our children, that believe in working really hard every day, and that's the environment they'd want to be in, and I would think we'd have plenty of those here in Nebraska.
Another bill of Pillen's interest was introduced by Senator Lynn Walz, which would provide a reimbursement for teachers purchasing school supplies. The bill would allow a teacher up to $300 of reimbursement for supplies paid for by a teacher, and Pillen hopes it will help address the teacher shortage in Nebraska.
We have to get the issue solved. It's an extraordinary impact, having an impact on our young people, and incentives are going to have to help the cause.
Pillen's trip to Grand Island earlier on Tuesday was canceled due to the weather. Pillen also stopped in South Sioux City for another town hall later Tuesday afternoon. In Norfolk, I'm Luke Stera, News Channel, Nebraska.
Staying with the unicameral, a new bill in the Nebraska legislature could allow police to pull you over if they suspect you're texting while driving. The bill by Senator Lauren Lippincott of Central City would make texting while driving a primary offense. Right now it's a secondary offense. That means it can't be the main reason police pull someone over. The bill, LB 1022, was heard in a Transportation Committee hearing on Tuesday. Most of the testifiers were in favor of the bill, saying it could be a way to limit the growing number of fatalities linked to distracted driving. The bill would not apply to hands-free communication. That means if a phone is connected to a car and reads texts out loud to a driver, that driver isn't in violation of state law. An economic development bill, meanwhile, designed to help cities like Grand Island and Ralston moved forward yesterday, although there are questions remaining about whether it will get its $10 million in funding. The measure's been touted as a way to help Grand Island extend sewer and water infrastructure to the site of the former Cornhusker ammunition plant to make it attractive for businesses. Officials in Ralston, meanwhile, have said it would help that Omaha suburb redevelop its 1960s-era downtown. Under an amended form of the bill that advanced from first-round debate yesterday, communities with fewer than 100,000 residents could obtain state grants of up to $5 million for infrastructure projects. The communities would have to demonstrate the benefit in terms of job creation and revitalization of the area and come up with a 25% financial match. Residents in southeast Nebraska were giving the gift of life Tuesday during an important time for the American Red Cross. Doug Kennedy explains.
A blood donation drive was held at the Odell Community Building, several people making appointments ahead of time.
Had to cancel some operations due to the weather. Those first few weeks in January were a little rough, but looks like we're seeing the upside of the thaw out, so hopefully we no longer have to cancel and lose some of those units.
American Red Cross donor recruitment manager Robin Steinkuhler says some rescheduling was necessary to account for the recent winter storms in Nebraska that made donating blood difficult, if not impossible.
We've seen an uptick of donors come out to donate because they've heard of the all-time low of donors coming out to the Red Cross. So we've seen an uptick of donors come out, and then we've also been able to reschedule some of those drives that were canceled.
It was a bit of a double whammy with the bad winter storms following what is normally a slowdown time for donations.
There are still patients in hospitals that are always needing blood around the clock. The need for blood is constant, so we always push for donors to come out.
With longtime blood donors aging, Steinkuhler said the Red Cross is continually looking at the next generation to give blood consistently. Blood drives coming up at Beatrice High School and Southeast Community College in the coming weeks. Steinkuhler said the Odell Diller area is a dedicated community that regularly donates units of blood. Appointments to donate can be done online at redcrossblood.org or by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS. From Odell, Doug Kennedy, News Channel, Nebraska.
Well, after an extended period of gloom, it appears Americans are starting to feel better about inflation and the economy. A measure of consumer sentiment by the University of Michigan has jumped in the past 2 months by the most since 1991. Meanwhile, another survey by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York found that Americans' inflation expectations have reached their lowest point in nearly 3 years. And the same survey found the proportion who expect their own finances to improve a year from now is at its highest level since June of 2021. It's a trend that experts say could sustain consumer spending, fuel economic growth, and potentially affect President Joe Biden's political fortunes. And finally, 2 officials from a southeast Nebraska county won the 2 highest awards from NACO and celebrated with their community. Kyle Mathis has more.
A celebration was put together Tuesday for 2 Jefferson County officials who won prestigious awards. Mark Shanerock, Jefferson County Commissioner, won the 2023 Nebraska County Official of the Year Award, which is given to individuals who have distinguished themselves as public officials. The award is the highest honor an elected or appointed county official can receive.
That morning, it was just a very humbling experience. You're looking out into their faces, and you realize there's a lot of people that would be equally deserving of the award. But I appreciate the recognition very much, and I'm honored to be part of this team, not only here in Jefferson County, but for all of the state of Nebraska.
And Leroy Bass, Jefferson County Treasurer, won the Lifetime Achievement Award, an award given to a county official who has been involved with NACO for 25 years or more.
The first award I received was County Treasurer of the Year Award, and it's voted on by the 93 county treasurers, and I was completely surprised about that. And then I received the Lifetime Achievement Award, and that was based on being a county official for 25 years.
The reception was put together with friends, locals, and family joining in celebration with cake and the awards on center stage.
Oh, very nice. Jay Lee Yance put this together, and she's a fantastic worker. She's very intelligent, and she's been working in my office for several years, and we don't know how to get along without her.
Shanerock says this is the first time 2 county officials from the same county have received the top 2 prestigious awards in NACO.
Well, I was telling Leroy, I went back and I researched the Nebraska Association of County Officials records, and I don't think in our history that one county has been selected for the top 2 awards. These are the top 2 awards of our association, and for one county to receive these top 2 awards, I think is especially significant. And again, it's just a very humbling experience to be part of that.
Both Shanerock and Bast are extremely honored to receive these awards, which they have been working towards and helping their community day in and day out. Reporting for News Channel Nebraska, I'm Kyle Mathis.
For more news and weather, visit us online at newschannelnebraska.com. I'm Eric McKay. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.